Another Saturday at a Mastermind. So again, my name is Rob Mason. I am a founding member of the BGG, along with my colleague here, Ms. Monica Moton Williams. And today is going to be good. We're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about. And what some of the rules of engagement, we want to make sure that as we go along today, if you have questions or comments you want to put them in the chat, type them in the chat, we'll get to them, and away we go. So I'm going to turn it over to our executive producer so she can give you a little bit more background of who we are. And we have another colleague who may be tied up. We'll see if he's able to jump in today. But go ahead, Brandy, why don't you do the introductions?
All right, today we have Miss Monica Moton Williams. He's in the insurance and financial services industry. Up next, we have Mr. Rob Mason. He's an entrepreneur, business coach, and investor. And if our lucky counterpart joins, his name is Andrew Cisneros. He's an entrepreneur and real estate consultant.
All right. So as we start off our program today, some of the things I want to tell you before we get too far down the road. We have a couple things we've added to the Business Growth Group, and there's one program that will be on at least twice a month. It's called The Journey, and The Journey is where we'll feature 2 to 3 up-and-coming entrepreneurs to really tell their story about, what was their why, toughest parts of the journey, what are they doing now, how they see success, a number of different questions. But it's a good platform. So if you're out there and you're trying to get your business going, and it's always hard at looking someone who, hey, they've been doing it for 15, 20 years and they're very super or uber successful. Catch The Journey. The Journey is really good because you're seeing how people have gone through the same struggles that you have, and it puts you in a good place. So you can get a little bit more confidence that you can be successful. The other thing we have is the CEO's Roundup. So for many people, if you're either in a partnership and you're the general partner, if you're in a sole proprietorship, guess what? You are the CEO of your own personal services or product business. And it's important that you get a chance to spend time with other like-minded individuals. So we have the CEO's Roundup. I think it's twice a month. When is it, Monty? Is it twice a month? That one too?
Yes, it's twice a month. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we'll have that coming up soon, and you're going to want to take advantage of that. Very good forum. It lasts about maybe an hour. It's on a Friday morning. Don't forget about that one. That's coming up next week as well. And then the last thing is coaching. We launched a coaching program, and no one wins without a coach. Imagine Serena Williams going out there winning all these championships, just trying to figure it out on her own. It's always important that you're able to move forward and have someone that can help you along the way. So that's what we're doing. We're providing the coaching now, very good price, and we'll talk a little bit more about it as we go along. So today, it's all about moving forward. Today's topic, the big thing about today, we're going to talk about moving forward. And in 2020 is almost over. Okay, we're in the fourth quarter of 2020. 2019 beat the hell out of me. I don't know about you, but 2019 was a rough patch. Came into 2020 feeling very relieved that I was out of 2019. And we got in the first quarter, and then COVID came to business. Everything got shut down as soon as I was getting ready for a breakaway. But 2019 prepared me very well for 2020. And then 2020 is preparing me very well for 2021. And the reason being is COVID allowed us to slow down and have time to really look at things, figure out what we want to invest in, what I need to divest in, okay? And how I'm going to move forward with the next, 10 to 20 years of my life. So those are things important. So I'm going to go to Monica. Monica, talking about moving forward in your life. So tell me what's important for you going now that we've been through COVID and we're still in COVID. Now that we've gone through 2019 and all the changes, all the political unrest and everything else, what's important to you as far as moving forward from a business perspective and a life perspective?
I would say basically going back over what I learned from the beginning of the year, because a lot of people came out, with New Year's resolutions about 2020, that this was
Right.
going to be a year of beginning, and that it was going to be a spectacular year and everybody was going to really come out and do great things, big things. And they were so optimistic about going out of 2019 and coming into 2020. And then just as the beginning of the year, really it was in 2019 that this was happening, but we didn't know in the United States how it was going to impact us. Because a lot of times when you don't have things right in your front door, you don't really think about what's in your back door, because that's not within your control. It's what's within your control that's right there in front of you. So for me, moving into 2021 and finishing strong in 2020 is about the learning from the beginning of the year and how I'm going to take those learnings and really make an impact in 2020 moving into 2021.
Okay. Are there any special techniques or or what are you doing about planning?
For me, I'm looking at, you know me, Rob, I love acronyms, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've created this little acronym called LOW. So I'm learning that sometimes you have to lose. Sometimes you have to own when you're losing, because a lot of times it could be part of you not wanting to be optimistic about your future.
Okay.
So if you don't own your past and own your present, then you can't move forward in the future. So losing, owning, winning. So how have I managed to win this year, in spite of all that I went through with the COVID? Because I know I had some challenging moments at the beginning of the year when around March, I'll say the first quarter, the end of first quarter, when I went from working in the office to working at home. And because you have an office set up at home, you tend to be more in tune with, I got to always get ahead. I got to do this. I got to do that. I always got to be prepared. I got to be there so that I don't suck. Because nobody wants to suck, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
I was not about to suck. So that's what I look at for this year as my lows. But see, when people think of something being low, they think of it as being a negative. But you saw I pulled out of that low a win. So and the owning piece. So the L is for losing, but you got to understand how to lose and how to suck in order for you to own it and win it. So that's me. So learning how to do that, learning that your lows can turn into your high moments. I think you're on mute. I can't hear you.
I said I like what you said there. You always have those acronyms, man, and that was dope. I got that one for sure. So for me, moving forward is big, man. I spend so much time planning. And planning, and I tell people all the time, and these are in business, there's 4 critical functional areas, but I've always added the 5th one. So anybody that goes to business school, they'll say, oh, there's the 4. And I'm, no, there's 5. Okay, now I'm gonna give them to you. There's staffing, planning, organizing, controlling, and leading. And if you look at staffing and planning, so staffing always plays when you're a business owner or any group, bringing the wrong sucker in there, it can ruin your day. You're spending so much time fighting drama and personalities and other things. So there's a lot of if you look at companies interviewing nowadays, they want to make sure that people are a good fit to the organization. Can you fit into our culture? we're going to interview you with 5 or 6 different people, because if somebody wants to find that little weirdness and see if can we live with that weirdness or not. So so that's staffing, staffing, and you go to planning. Planning to me is the most critical one, because I can't just show up one day and I'm successful. I had to get here somehow. So I had to take time to build a plan that's going to allow me to accurately step down the road. Now, I may have planned, but guess what? I'm also going to have craters in the road. I'm going to have things that break down. I'm going to have to go around. Hey, I'm sitting here. I got my garbage disposal was tripping this morning, right? Do I want to spend $100 to get the man to come out and fix it? No, I'm going to go to Home Depot and buy a wrench first if I don't have one. So there's different things, but planning, there's going to be things that come up in your plan. We have to have a financial plan. We have to have a business plan. We have to have a life plan. So all these things, have, come up. And the married folks out there, you got to have a plan for your marriage. You can't just wake up with a random marriage. Guess what? And you think everything is okay. And all of a sudden you get served with papers one day. Someone says, oh, here, this is for you. Hand you some papers and you start reading that. Hey, man, she gone. Okay, or he's gone. Because you didn't have a plan, okay, and for your marriage, which means a communication piece, right? Or your relationship. All these things really matter. So planning, okay, staffing, planning, organizing. When we have things as I'm going through, if I'm not organized, or if people show up and my business isn't organized, we don't have the right information, this, and that, and the other, it's a hassle. Guess what? I'm not winning there either. Okay. I'm gonna be stuck. I'll only be stuck on the L from low, but Monica's low, right? Staffing, planning, organizing. The next one is controlling. Sometimes, if my life is out of control, right, I have to be able to control me. I have to be able to control my situations. I have to control my businesses or my business. I have to control my finance. And a lot of people who have 401ks out there, Monica, you know this, people just think that, oh, I got a 401k and it's just going to get there. No, you have to control it. You have to make the moves. You have to evaluate what's going on with your 401k and make moves, because by law they can't do anything until you tell them to do something. So controlling is important too. So staffing, planning, organizing, controlling. And the last one is leading. I have to lead me. I have to lead others. So in order to lead others, to lead me, I have to be organized. But to lead others, I have to be even more organized. I have to be able to clearly articulate where we're going, the vision, right? Which is critically important. And then I have to make sure that we're doing the right things for the right reasons. So all these things to me, are important, but planning is the most critical one, because I just can't wake up on the moon. I got a plan to get there, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think our executive producer made a new shirt for the BGG recently, and it said "Millionaire Downloading," right? Mm-hmm. Which lets you know that, hey, I'm on the way, it's coming, right? So as I'm planning, that money is coming, or that journey is rising. So those things are very important. Okay. Absolutely. So yeah. So the next thing I think that's critical for us is to really figure out taking that next step, because what happens in business and in life, a lot of entrepreneurs out here is really just figuring out how to jump in. And we always catch people who are double dutching, right? Hey man, I'm wait. I'm trying to get the rhythm so I can jump in right now. Oh, I'll wait till next month. Oh, maybe in January. Oh, maybe in February. And it's like, man, you lost so much money and lost so much opportunity. Mm-hmm. The first thing we got to do is sell. And everybody sells. As we were listening to another group today, and a woman is saying everybody sells, and that's important. And so sometimes we may not have all of the stuff forms figured out. We may not have everything. I know what my product is. I'm gonna start advertising and know that, hey, I can put this stuff together and get it to you, right? But I got first thing, it's gonna take me time to get a sale. So talk about jumping in, Monica. What do you think about? Give us some wisdom on jumping in.
For me, the opportunity. Well, first off, if it's possible, you want to figure out a way to achieve that harmony. Like I was talking to you today, because Rob's a golfer, I'm a golfer. So it's trying to find that harmony, that sweet spot when there's chaos. Because a lot of times when there's chaotic movement and stuff like that, you're just spinning your wheels. Nobody has a vision. Nobody knows where to get off the plane and start to walk through the what is it, when you get off the plane you walk through the airport and stuff like that. Probably not the greatest analogy, but you kind of get where I'm saying. You have to make sure, because when people are getting off planes and stuff like that, it's usually chaotic. They tell you everybody sit down, especially in COVID. I've had a
Right.
chance to fly, and they tell everybody, please, we're going to allow everyone to exit so that's an orderly fashion, so that there's social distances between. But what happens when people want to do what they want to do, what they've been doing, because it takes time for people to create different patterns and habits. So they decide to be chaotic, just going to do what they want to do. But then the flight attendants, just like as a business owner, has to figure out a way to create harmony so that no one gets upset because of the chaos. And so for me, I'm thinking you have to reimagine how you're going to be productive in that
Mm-hmm.
chaotic spot. How are you going to go back and start to get people to believe in what they're producing is something worth producing and something worth selling?
Yeah,
So
but
just go ahead.
let me ask you a question. Do you
Uh-huh.
think that they should wait to have everything tidy in your life before, let's say, use it from a business? Are you gonna wait and have everything, or are you gonna, if your passion, do I need my passion and my energy and I'm ready to jump in, or am I gonna wait? Give us some.
No, you never wait, because if you wait, then someone else can take your spot.
There you go.
Uh, they certainly can. Like I used to always tell some of my folks that I would lead, I said, this person came in and you were the star. You blew me away. I mean, you had all the makings of a wonderful star that was going to take us home in whatever this thing that we were trying to do, whether it was customer service or whether it was trying to be remarkable. But you allowed one of your friends to get off the bench and take your spot, and now they're the star. So now what's going to happen is you're going to have to spin your wheels. You're going to have to change my mindset of you to know that you're capable of doing what you started doing, but
Right.
because you had your own pity party, you allowed somebody else to gnaw in your ear and say, well, if I were you, I would do this, this, and that. But they're telling you stuff to get you all discombobulated, again, that chaotic moment, and then they're taking your spot, because that's what happens. No time waits for no one.
Right.
And people who have that energy, who have that passion, who have that drive, they can push themselves and push the other person right on out of that spot. So
Yeah.
you have to continue to just push forward. You cannot wait. You can't stop. If your product isn't done, you still need to be figuring out a way to brand and market it, so that when it is done, then
Mm-hmm.
your branding and your marketing that may have came before, it allows you that opportunity to be able to sell with no
Yeah.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and two, one thing you said I want to capitalize on. It's a
Mhm.
competition, baby. If while you're waiting and you're thinking and this and that and the other, let's look at it from a dating center, because everybody can relate to dating, right?
Yeah.
So you sitting up there and oh, I'm gonna ask, you see that woman sitting over there, I'm gonna go ask her to dance. I'm gonna go ask her to dance. I'm gonna go ask, and then finally, while you're double dutching and trying to get some courage up, you go over there, man. Shoot, the other dude came in and got her. She's having the time of her life on the dance floor. That opportunity is gone, right? And you'll never know if you're gonna get that opportunity. But it's the same way in life. If you don't, if you don't move, you lose. And that's
Mhm.
critically important. I know that you and I've talked this week, and it's one thing. I even talked with our executive producer, Brandy. and we had a good crucial conversation. I said, you know, the things I'm struggling with right now is this: I got to get beyond the noise, beyond this curtain, because there's people who are looking for us right now. But if I don't get something out to them, right, to get them to pick up the phone or to email me back, or or to get my phone to ring, hey man, they're going on to somebody else,
Mhm.
and that the money is already appropriated. They're just looking for the right talent. So I can wait. Oh, I wait till next month. Oh, I wish I had the right thing. And we see this with film, right? When we started doing the filming, right?
Mhm.
And you start filming, you're like, oh man, I didn't like that, how that looked. Oh, it was terrible. Oh, this and that. Hey man, guess
Lighting
what?
off. Yeah.
You're gonna you're gonna have some that are gonna suck.
Mhm.
But the people who are watching it, they don't really give a damn. The bottom line is they want to hear what you got to say. You might look like hell, but if you guys, everybody out there knows we got some terrible. Sometimes we got some terrible looking people on YouTube, but they might be spitting some serious game.
Exactly.
Even look at sometimes we listen to rappers, and I look at
Mhm.
this man. This dude look like heck. Well, I'm gonna call somebody out. I don't think Lil Wayne is a very nice man, and this stuff. But he ain't the most easy on the eyes. But he puts out some nice music. People look at Lil Wayne because he's spitting out some major game. It's not that they want to fall in love with him, go kiss him, and everything else. They love his music and what he's saying. It's the same thing when we start filming. It's not about, oh, I look terrible. Oh, my lighting. People want the real, man. So our message here is jump in because it's a competition. Jump in.
That's
Steve
right.
Harvey. Steve Harvey has a book, and then there's also on YouTube, and maybe we'll post this as a follow-up today, where he's talking about jump. He's in a setting where he finished filming the Family Feud or something. He's talking about how they need to jump. He has a real good story about a good friend of his that would always duck out on them, and now he's got a multi-million-dollar lawn mower business or whatever. But it's
Mhm.
but it's good news. So you got
Yeah.
to jump. You got
You
to
got to
jump.
jump, and then you got to focus too. You got to focus on that future, because the future is something that you can change.
Yeah.
You can change your future. You can change the course. And I'm not saying anything out there about the people who believe that your future is predestined,
Hmm.
but you can change things about your future. You can carve out different things that they'll have a different approach. So I always look at, I always tell my people, some of the people that I coach, I always say, look at a crisis as an opportunity to be great. So
Yeah.
crisis, challenges, things like that. Don't look at those things as, oh my goodness, woe is me. I'm in a bad crisis and I can't learn from this. No, your crisis and your challenge is your moment of opportunity. And when
Yeah.
you realize that, you can capitalize on that crisis and that challenge. And the main thing about a crisis and a challenge is that make sure that you learn from that, because you don't want to go in a circle, keep repeating that same crisis and challenge because you never learned from that crisis or challenge. So similar to making mistakes, but you gotta learn that lesson. If you don't learn the lesson, you are what is it? The history will repeat itself.
Will repeat itself. You're right. You're right. And in the words of our executive producer, said you got to tap in, tap
Yeah,
in.
tap in.
Go ahead and
It
say
is
it.
tap in, right?
Yeah, go ahead and say it, Brandy.
Is it tap in?
Let's tap in. Come on, Brandy.
Yes, it's tap in, although some people thought it was snap in, but it's
Right, right. Okay, so it's tap in. Okay.
And people, we have a few haters in the room. We're gonna ask her to leave. Anyway, so anyway, you got to jump in and you got to tap in. It is a competition.
Hmm.
So if you're new and you're trying to launch a business, hey, hit us up. We'll help you. But you got to jump in. You can't wait. And you got to understand it's not a hobby, right? It's not a hobby. We can all sit around and we can do certain things, and we are going to have hobbies, things we like to do for fun. Like for
Hmm.
me, golf is a hobby. It ain't paying me to go out there, right? I'm doing it because I like to do it. So it's a hobby. I like to ski. There's a lot of things that I like to do. Those are hobbies. But making money and my future in the next 10 to 20 years of my life are important to me, and what stage I want to be on. At what stage do I want to be? At what point am I going to do something else? But these are things that you and I talk about. But for the people out here who aren't where we are yet, and even some who are beyond us, it's always
Mhm.
good to reflect, right? All right. So let's look at planning to grow. And let's take it. Let's do a little wind back when we think about you know our lives and thinking about there's a lot of people on here now who are maybe early in their career and things of that nature, but planning to grow. What if you go back and you rewind for a minute, Monica? What would be some of the things that you would think would be important for someone who is planning to grow? Hey, I'm planning to grow. I know that right now it feels like it's my time. uh, what what are some of the things? I know you're gonna say coaching because that and mentoring, but what are some of the important tools when it comes to planning to grow?
Okay, you're right. I am going to say coach because coaching is something that everyone needs. A coach is like a mentor.
Hmm.
They are your cheerleader. They are your inspiration.
Hmm.
They're your motivator. Because you basically, as a coach, listen to that individual, the coachee,
Right.
because you're trying to figure out what is it that they need. So you don't go into a coaching experience with a cookie
Hmm.
cutter approach. You have
Right.
to know that person. And in order to know that person, you have to build a relationship. So when you build that relationship as a coach with the coachee, that's when you can really start getting down to the business at hand to help them with whatever it is that they need to improve upon to sell a product or to learn how to build relationships. So, with that being said, it's an opportunity for you to identify those new opportunities. I would advise when you're coming up with a plan to grow your business, create some type of email list, so that you have people that you know. So, Rob and I, we went in our phone and we looked at people that we thought we could contact for the first CEO roundup and
Right.
invite them to come in and participate and share best practices of their experiences and things like that. And we were successful. We had about 12 people to show up for our very first CEO business roundup. And that was a success. Now it would have been a success even if it had just been me, Rob, and one other person, because that person took the time to come
Right.
in and gain something from the discussion. And so we wouldn't have treated that one person who came in as a CEO any different than the 11 others that we had to come in for
Right.
the CEO. So it's about creating that sense of loyalty also within your following. Make sure that you reach out to your followers or to your customers to let them know, hey, I appreciate you. Thank you for buying my product. And if it's been a year that they've been with you, say, hey, it's been a year anniversary and you started out with me from the ground up. I'm going to give you a discount into this, and then let people know, go on your Instagram, go on all of your different social media platforms to let people know that we ride together, we rode
Right.
together, So I would say those would be the things, and then you have to build a good sales force too, for as you go along for your product, because it's nothing like hearing from the same people each time that's promoting it, because it's sort of like if you're leading an individual, sometimes you as the leader leading them, they tend to like, okay, it's going in one ear and out the other. But then when they see somebody else that picks up on it and
Hmm.
follows that leadership, then they're going to want to say, well, what was it about that that you made you want to follow or purchase this product? And then they can start talking about it because they are part of your circle or part of your customer base, your client, or so forth. Or
Yeah,
it could be someone that you're coaching. So I, I believe creating those opportunities, making sure that people are loyal, and then building an email contact list that you can readily go to. Looking through your phone. If there are people in your phone that you don't call or they don't call you, then you need to just let them go. You know,
yeah,
it's okay to clean things up, and it's okay that you don't roll with the people you rolled with 30 years ago, because your circle will change. Your circle will be that circle of influence that will impact you as you go along. And it's okay if it changes, because everybody can grow with you as you continue to grow.
yeah. And if you're the biggest person in your circle, and a lot of people get really comfortable with that. Oh, I'm the biggest
Mhm,
person in the circle. And I've
mhm,
been in a group before where one cat, he was the biggest person in the circle. And
mhm,
as soon as my star started shining more, oh man, he wanted me out of the circle
mhm,
because it's hey, I don't want somebody bigger than me in the circle. Nobody was really looking at that. We all thought we
mhm,
were a group of equals, right? Of just good friends, but there was
mhm,
another agenda. Someone wanted to have the most shine on their car, so we're
mhm.
gonna follow Rudolph. The whole point is, no, I'm not following you. I'm following my own drummer.
Right.
I'm on my own path. We just happen to be friends.
Mhm.
But oh man, I got excommunicated. How dare me start to make more money and have my career and have some happiness in my life. That was a threat. So
Mhm.
there's people out there. We gotta
You have to
make sure.
watch. Yeah,
Yeah.
as they become, it's like I always look at the trees, and my favorite tree to sit under is an oak tree, because you look at that oak tree, especially when it has some years on it. And so that oak tree, I want to be like the roots in that oak tree in people's lives, and as a coach and being able to help them. I don't want to be that leaf where I come in through the seasons and I blow away, and then nothing sticks. I don't want to be that branch that could pop off, at any time when the going gets tough, or I don't like things my way, and then it's like I become dead weight, and then eventually I pop off. I want to be deeply rooted in that person's life as a
Mhm.
coach. So even when they're finished with me as a coach, they can still go from coach to mentor, because that means they're going to need me throughout this process, just to have someone that they can call up. So you have
Right.
to think about those roots in your life, roots in your business, that you can pick up the phone after the coaching is over and still be able to take about 5 or 10 minutes for some guidance, or something that you've come across that you don't really quite understand, that you need some help with.
Right. Love that. Love that. Okay. A couple other things. Let's talk about uh, your daily time and your routine, and for all of the people that I listen to and conferences and really successful people, I notice there are some good habits that a lot of people have, whether it's Kevin Hart or I don't want to say Magic Johnson, um, just saying what I'm trying to Scooter Braun, a lot of these different people, they all get up early in the morning. They do their physical training early, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, and they get finished. Some people go on bike rides for 10 and 20 miles or whatever. And they get that fitness piece out of the way. And then for me, that morning time, the first thing I get up in the morning is that time is critical for me because my mind is clear. I can write down the notes. I can set my goals for the day, the objectives, things I need to accomplish. So time and routines are critically important. There's some people that wake up, they do the meditation, they go do the yoga. Um, but this is important, I think, for all of us who are on a path of critical success. Um, it'd be good, Monica, to hear what you have to say about that. Is there, time and routine, uh, any experiences you want to share? about time and routine. That would be good.
Okay, so for me, Rob, you know I'm a freaking workaholic. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, it really isn't because like many people, when you are working on something that you're very passionate about, you don't mind spending more than a 40-hour week. And then after you have completed your task or your project, then it's okay to have that fun time. So it's nothing wrong with being a workaholic because that shows that you have a drive to achieve whatever vision that you've put in your path to want to get done or want to accomplish. So being a workaholic is fine. You just have to know your limitations. And pretty much in COVID, a lot of people have become workaholics because the fear of having to go outside because, you know, they say COVID is airborne, the fear of going to any restaurants or going to any events because, you know, without a mask, and some people don't like the mask. So they become workaholics inside. But, you know, eventually COVID is going to let up. And when it does, you want to make sure that you've taken that workaholic piece that's a part of you and you're able to implement it and come out of the gate being very impressive and impactful and an influencer in what you're doing. I know exactly what I want. Um, so I always look at that. If I know that I want something, I know what to do to go out there and get it. So knowing what you want, knowing how to go out there and get it, and knowing how to make it happen. I respect the competition. I respect those who are doing similar things as me to maybe take the opportunity to network because I know managing my daughter, I have actually gotten involved with other managers in the entertainment world to ask them, can I shadow you for a day so that I can just
Hmm.
kind of learn what you do? It's not about competing with you, it's about really being a little sponge for the day to soak up the knowledge so that I can go back and help my daughter, who I serve as her momager and marketer and promoter and all that good stuff. I can go back and kind of utilize some of those best practices. So learning how to respect the competition where you're not competing with them because you recognize that you need to learn in order to be very successful. Maybe down the road you might compete with them, but in the beginning, if you're just a startup, you want to get out there and know what the competition is doing. And a lot of them won't feel threatened. It's how you approach them about asking, can you be that shadow? And then learning how to say no, but then avoiding saying no too often. Because if you say no, people will say, well, I'm not going to keep trying here because I see potential in that person. But if they're always going to say no and they don't want to hear what I have to say, then that's not being a team player. That's not networking. So learning how to avoid to say no. And then lastly, from a time management standpoint, I always write down a schedule. I do my schedule on a to-do list. I have all kinds of papers just lying around here. It'll say 10:19, I mean 10:9 or 10:8, but I have something on there to do in terms of making sure that my schedule is not impacted and it's protecting my time. So really writing up a schedule, because I know some people utilize whatever method that you want to use, have a schedule, something that's either electronically written down, you know, in your phone or your laptop, or if you go back to the old-fashioned way of doing it like I do and writing it on paper. Because a lot of times when you write it on paper, you go back to it and it becomes plain. And that's just me. So
No,
those
I
would be
like.
the things here.
Yeah, that's real. That's you know, having a routine. And like you said, even when it comes to competition, yeah, I respect the competition. I want to fight the competition. Um, Not unnecessarily, right? But you have to look
Uh-huh.
at this from a goal perspective. You got to set goals and figure out, hey, I want my voice to be louder than everybody else's when I'm marketing in these communities. Then you got to understand I can't take on the world, but I have to respect the competition. And there's groups out there that do things well. Hey, man, I got to give them props. Brandy will tell you we have one that I always would reference, and they weren't necessarily a competition, but we did similar things, but a little different. But I had to give them, man, their website was beautiful, and it really spoke to what people wanted. It was really clear to understand what they're doing. So that really had me moved to really try to put some time in and see, and then do other evaluations on stuff. So another part of having a routine in a competition, let's take it somewhere else, is really game respects game. We have to look at why, what are we doing? Because a lot of times when we're doing things for ourselves in our business, we get, tunnel vision. Hey, this is what we're doing. But you got to look at what other people are doing. For me, I'm more of a visionary, so I'm always thinking way out front. And so I can think about things and then we'll change ahead of time. And all of a sudden it's like, you know, 6 months later, someone would say, oh, well, we have new requirements. You need to have, man, I already have two. You know what I mean? I'm way ahead of you guys because I experienced the need and we put these things in place. So those things are important, really, to evaluate what other people are doing good. It's the same thing. I was listening, as you and I were talking about customer service a lot over the past few days. And I know one of my courses I'm teaching right now is on that. But one of the things, you think about from a customer service standpoint and how we get our routines. Like, where do I go to eat? What are my favorite little restaurants I like to? Why do I shop there? Or places you like to shop? So if I ask you, Monica, where do you like, give me one place you like to buy clothes, where would it be?
Dillard's. I don't know if you have one out there in California, but I love Dillard's because they have my favorite shoes, Vince Camuto's.
Okay, all right, all right. Shout out to Vince. All right,
Yes.
yo. All
I
right,
never have to try his shoes on. I know it's going to be a perfect fit. Fits like a glove.
all right, all right. No, I fell out of love with Dillard's when I left Virginia. We didn't have any more. So, but guess what? I get a chance. I still date Dillard's when I go to homecoming. I stop there
Right.
downtown and pick up some of that expensive clothes out of Dillard's. That stuff is overpriced, girl.
But you know what? They figured out their business model because of all the department stores, the freestanding department stores like the Nordstroms, the Macy's, the J.C.
Mhm.
Penney's, the Sears, no longer Roebucks. They're not thriving during COVID, but
True.
Dillard's has figured it out, and Dillard's stock is continuing to climb at a nice steady rate. And so they're going to be ready to go into 2021 because what they have done is they pivoted by not just focusing on the freestanding bricks and mortar, but they're also pivoting so that they have a lot of online sales. And
Right.
they're doing it through their own company. They're not utilizing Amazon to do it. So they've
Okay.
made sure that they are containing everything here, which is why their stock is going up because they're not having to pay the middleman to ship.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
makes a lot of difference. We got a couple more things to do here before we transition. Um, my last question before we move into a little bit of catch up on investments, and then we'll get into Q&A, and then we'll be done for the day. Um, when it came to a certain part of your life where you really started to feel that you were in your element,
Mhm.
okay, what was that moment? Whether, I'm gonna give it to you two ways, from a business employee standpoint, and then from a business leader, um, coach, manager, all that.
Mhm.
So one from an employee perspective, then from a manager coach perspective. What was that moment that was your aha moment that said, hey man, I got this?
What year, what moment? Probably about 12 years ago.
Okay.
Just before I got out of urban planning. I
Okay.
was a VP in the planning firm, at the planning firm that I worked for. So we were attached to a law firm. And so my big moment was when I had a department of about 220 people. I just never envisioned having to lead leaders and leaders and leaders. It was just, it was a little overwhelming. I kind of liked the fact of leading a small group because
Hmm.
sometimes when you lead too many, you don't know who is loyal and who is not.
Hmm.
So I would say my pivotal moment came at having to lead that many people because I had to really focus on the upper leaders to make sure they were doing what they needed to do in order to drive the behaviors down to the first line leaders to get the workers to buy in, because it's almost like the military. You respect the position because if you don't, and I needed to talk to those people who were on the front line. I couldn't think that I was so high up here to
Right.
try to have my vision here. And I couldn't trust always that the upper leaders were going to really funnel down that vision that I had. So I would actually go out and talk to the people, get their perspective on different things that we were trying to put into place, like different initiatives and
Right.
projects and like that, so that I could get their idea, because that they were the voices, they were the ones on the front line doing the actual work. And without them, me being a hothead up here as this department head, I wasn't going to get anything from what I needed. So I wouldn't say that I was in the weeds. I would say it was about building relationships at
Hmm.
all levels. And I
Yeah.
felt like building relationships at the ground level
Hmm.
and making them feel like I'm a part of the process,
Right.
that team. Just because I sat over here behind a door with some windows didn't mean that I was a part of the team. And so
Right.
that, it took a moment for them to really trust that I was being genuine, because
Hmm.
their leaders didn't always come around. Back in the day, they called it managing by walking around, but I
Right.
call it leading by walking around because I was leading. I wasn't managing widgets and things like that. These were real people, real feelings, real ideas. And so I needed to get at that pulse of how they were doing in order to be able to lead my leaders. So
Right.
that was a very pivotal moment for me because I started here in order to get here. Because half the time my vision was being diluted once it got down to the front line.
Oh, I understand that. I mean,
Mhm.
I remember that in the military, just having those, walk down and sit, sit on that daggone howitzer and talk to,
Mhm.
and ask them, hey, what's going on at home? How's everything? Is
Mhm.
your wife
Yep.
okay while we're out here? Is there anything you need? How are you guys holding up financially? Are you eating? You guys eating? You got enough money? Just that little bit
Mhm.
made people
To make
think
a
that,
difference.
hey man, this guy really cares.
Mhm.
They want to work harder for you. So yeah, I get that. And I remember those days of management by walking around, management by objective
Mhm.
and all. You know,
Yeah.
those are those were the days. And a lot of these folks, they don't understand that now. They're not teaching that anymore as a practice, but it's still critical.
Mhm.
For
Very much
if you're, it's harder to do in COVID. But even in COVID, if you're thinking about from a leadership standpoint, I don't know how we got here, but it's good. Um, from a leadership standpoint in COVID, there would be nothing better than people out here as a leader to drop in, hey, on a quick Zoom call. Hey, I wanted to have a Zoom call with you today. Boom, real quick. And they'd be say, okay, why is he calling me, or why does she want to talk to me? Hey, we just want to see how you're doing. How you holding up? You staying healthy? We see the work you're doing, but that's one thing, right? To let people know. I'll give you an example. There's a guy who has done an outstanding job for us on the Learning Center side in COVID. He came in the office and we kept talking about getting him something but it becomes around to it. How are we going to get around to it? I just went in there and said, look, just cut a check for $50. So I went and had him come in the office, give him a check. Here, man, go buy your dinner tonight. We really appreciate what you're doing. And man, he was so shocked. It was unbelievable. But I'm sure it felt good. for someone to get, hey man, this guy's giving me some money that I wasn't expecting. You never know, he might have needed, So unexpected money is always good, but that just to show people that you care about them really helps out quite a bit. All right, we go to the last area, which is investments. We know the market has been crazy the past few weeks. And the funny thing that I noticed, I went in today, and if you guys have been with us for a minute on BGG, we were telling you back in March and April, hey, to get in the market, get seated, get seated, get seated. And one of the stocks I picked back then, Monica flagged me on it yesterday because I didn't realize how much it has grown. That was Bed Bath and Beyond. I've made over $600 and something on a stock that I bought for $6. I bought it for $6 and something cents. In COVID, and now I don't know, Monica, was the Bed Bath and Beyond was like what, 20 something dollars per share? It's crazy.
It's
But it's,
$21.50.
yeah,
$21.50 a share.
And because it was so
Isn't
cheap,
that something?
yeah, and because it's so cheap that I was able to, just keep buying a few more shares, buying a few more, and it wasn't going, as far as it wasn't jumping up because everything was in lockdown. But what I did was I went back to look at everything is in lockdown that was a strong enough company, and their stock was really tore up because the stores are closed. And I looked at Bed Bath Beyond, I looked at their price target, where they were at that particular point. And I went back to Christmas time this year and Thanksgiving a year ago, and where the stock price was. And I looked at, hey, if we can get the economy back to, 70%, 60%, 70%, I would probably make out pretty good. And we put that out there to all you guys. And so if you didn't take advantage, I'm sorry, but go back and look at some of the picks that we had. So what do you want to say about the market, Bonnie?
Okay, so I was trying to put some figures here together while Rob was talking. And like he said, things are going really well. When you look at Bed Bath and Beyond, looking at the last time we really talked to you guys about it in August, because we had 2 weeks that we talked about the stock in August, and then September we didn't talk about it because sometimes you weren't seeing a big lift. But October going into fourth quarter, so we're going into the last quarter of the year, and we're seeing a lot of movement. So with Bed Bath and Beyond, in August, they were trading at $11.67, and now they're trading at $21.50. So that's huge. That's really huge. And then another one that we talked about was Under Armour. So back in August, Under Armour was at $8.77, and it's now trading at $10.98. So again, slow, steady growth, which is kind of what you expect to see. Bed Bath and Beyond was one of those that kind of came out of nowhere and just really surprised and knocked the socks off of people, because Rob, when I was telling him, I said, hey, have you checked it out? So I jumped in really quick. I didn't jump in as fast as I should have. I think I bought it when it was at $8 or $9, but still, to go from $8 or $9 when I purchased it to $21.50 didn't make as much as Rob, but hey, I am not complaining. Another one that has had some steady growth was Ford. Ford was at $6.66 in August, the 21st of August, and now they're at $7.25. Again, a nice, slow, steady growth, because they have been consistently going up in small increments, but that's what happens when you're looking at playing the long game, because those small increments, that means you can still purchase quite a few shares. And as you continue to get shares, one day, you never know, the stock market is very volatile. You might wake up one day and you're like, how did I get all this money in my account? And you go back and you look and you're like, oh my God, the stock really paid off that I've been, purchasing here and there. And then Netflix, they've had a very steady growth. They started out August 21st at $492.31. They're trading at 536.50.
Wow.
Which is really, really good. I mean, they started out at the beginning of the year before COVID at
Right.
$357.32. So look at that. That's a huge gain. That's a huge gain. Facebook, they've been going up and down, but pretty steady within $3 or $4 of each other. Another one of the airline stock that we've been tracking, Delta just went up to $32.37. So they've gone up from August of 27.27 to 32.37. So again, that's another nice jump, but it's pretty steady.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
if you're not going along with the picks that we've suggested, then what I would also like for you guys to think about doing is when you, if you're on Robinhood, look at opportunities to get fraction share, like shares in a fractional standpoint. Because like I recently purchased some Amazon stock, and I purchased a little fraction of Amazon. So I'm an Amazon stockholder. Now, I don't own one share of Amazon, but I am an Amazon stockholder, which is good. And I'm making money because it's going up every day. I'm not making as much as you would think, but again, I actually put into this fund that diversifies all of your stocks. I spent about $327 to actually purchase in Apple, which I already have Apple stock, Facebook stock, Netflix, DocuServe. And so it gives you like 4 to 5 different stocks, and it's a diversified amount, which gives you fractions of stock. But over the long haul, focusing on the long game, you would fare out very well. So again, that's just another way of playing the stock market and having it to really pay off for you in the long run.
Okay, good. Very good. So what we'll do on our next one, we'll talk to you, we'll give you guys an update on an app we talked about before called Stash. And Monica and I both have been dabbling with Stash, and I think we're getting close to having some real, definitive answers for you on how the best practices in using Stash. So that'll be good. As we're at the end, we're going to take a couple questions and we'll be out of here. So I'm going to ask our executive producer if she has any questions in the chat.
I don't see any questions as of yet. We'll give it a couple of minutes.
Okay, well, I have one over here. This one I got on my text that came in. What will success look like for you? And I'll answer and then I'll go to Monica. So success is always in the eye of the beholder. So for me, success would mean waking up every day with the freedom to do the things that I want to do, the way I want to do them, and pretty much living that life right now. So that would be success. But the bottom line for me is having life without limits. So where I can get any day, if I wanted to get up and fly to Europe, I can fly to Europe, and not be really restricted to whatever I do by financial resources. So that would be success. What about you, Monica?
For me, having success, I guess I look at it as a road to success. So trying to be very persistent, having discipline, and creating consistency in my life. So being persistent, disciplined, and consistent.
Okay.
So if you're doing it pronounced PDC, persistent, disciplined, and consistent.
All right. Okay, so if you don't see anything else, we'll go ahead and get ready to wrap. So don't forget, folks.
I see one question. I recently invested in stock and I have $14.23 of buying power left. What stock would you recommend that I put those funds in?
I would say if you have that amount and you want to get a big bang for your buck of the $14.23, there's some stocks that I actually have that are doing pretty well. I call them the penny stocks because, like with every penny makes a dollar. And so I'm going to give you a couple to look at. Let's see. Look at, I have 222 shares of this. It's called Avenger, and it is an actual stock that is running about 30 cents on the dollar, and it fluctuates. But a little bit about that stock, it is a company that manufactures catheters, catheter devices that are used to treat vascular diseases, and it designs, manufactures, and sells image-guided catheter-based systems. So it's similar to what Kodak was doing with their company, being able to create those 3D type products and services for customers and consumers and things like that. So what they're doing is like they're a similar type of company that's able to create these catheter-based systems. So might be something that you can get quite a few stocks out of, and then still feel like you have done something with your $14.23.
For me, I would say I would jump in Under Armour, buy a share of Under Armour, and maybe you can get two. That's what I would do potentially. I don't know. Either way, we thank you, and the just a reminder as we get ready to leave the journey. The journey is next. We'll have next Friday. We should be doing that. Don't forget our wind down Wednesdays, Money and Merchant Mondays. Please, everybody should be selling. You should be selling on Mondays. Should be posting and putting your sales up there, letting people know what you have. If it's a service or a product, get in there on Monday. Use the platform. Okay. The CEOs round up next Friday. If you want to be invited, shoot us a note. Say I want to be invited. And right now it's by invitation only. But if you say you want to be invited, you can come. But a quiet mouth does not get fed. So please feel free to join us there. And then that's roughly it. If you're interested in coaching, let us know. Shoot us a note inside the system there, or put something in the chat. We'll get with you right away and get you going. Along with our coaching, if you're in our coaching program, you also, as you're starting your business, you also get a free phone line on our system. And so that's something no one does. You're paying $27.95. You're getting coached and a phone line. Incredible. So talk to us about that. And any parting shots, Money? You're on mute.
I would just like to say, if you haven't had a chance, oh, I'm sorry. I'm on mute. Can you hear me? Because I'm not on mute.
You're back. You're back.
Okay, I must have frozen. So I would say, if you haven't had a chance to, just before we depart, Brandy put out 2 handouts in the chat. So make sure that if you can screenshot those, or you go to our website or our social media platforms. Those are the actual save the dates that Rob just talked about. But if you're a visual person and you want to have them in hand, you can actually pull them up from your device and look at them and make sure that you put them on your calendar.
There you go. And then for Under Armour, someone asked us, it's the one that's just UA instead of UAA. So it's the UA symbol. It's running at 1097 right now. Okay. All right, guys. We will, for Brandy Mitchell, Monica Motown Williams, I'm Rob Mason. Have a good day. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. See you next time, everyone. Bye.
All right.